Boom. Let's double check the stream's just working. Hopefully my video shows up. There we go. My mic's all working. Okay. If you're watching this pre-recorded, welcome. This is this week's episode of Techie Tuesdays. If you have any questions during this Techie Tuesdays and you've watching this in the past, you can message me on LinkedIn or get in contact with us at info@cybervigilance.uk. But if you're watching this live, you can also speak in the chat and I'll be able to see it. And if you didn't see the title of this video already, this is going to be Caldera Red Team Adversary Emulation. I'm going to put it up against SentinelOne and see how much we can get out of it. See if we can try and evade some detection engines in SentinelOne, and see if we can create some custom rules based on deep visibility queries on the behavior of some of the Caldera operations. So we'll give it just a couple more minutes. I'll quickly run down my environment. So I have a Kali machine, which is unprotected with SentinelOne, so SentinelOne is not on this machine. This is acting as my remote adversary tool. I'm hosting it just locally, default Caldera. So Caldera is an adversary emulation tool that specifically creates payloads. You can either create payloads. I think the default payload is written in Golang and it uses HTTPS, I believe. I don't think I remember one of the if you deploy an agent, yeah, so it can be configured with HTTPS, or you can use the other payloads, which is through Python using HTML contact, and you can also do a reverse shell agent using TCP. So I've already set up my connection using the PowerShell script that it's supplied me with, the which installs the Golang payload. And yeah, you can see it pings every about 50 seconds or so. So this is my target environment, Windows 10 development. It's just an arbitrary name for it. As you can see, I've had a bit of problems running it because I had a ranger rule that was actually blocking the connection between it on the last Techie Tuesdays. So I cleared that rule up and ran it again, and everything seems to be working. And just minimize that now. And I'm sure if we go into Task Manager, we'll be able to see the actual Caldera payload running. Okay. There we go. Can't seem to type. Task. Okay. I seem to be having technical difficulties getting up my Task Manager. Almost saw it. There you go. Keyboard decided to work, and let's go on Task Manager. And I think the current process for Caldera by default is just called Caldera. I don't remember renaming it. However, it is running. It's somewhere on the machine. I might have edited the name. I can't see it at the moment, but it is running. It is connected, and I'm going to try and blow up the machine with alerts through SentinelOne. See what SentinelOne can do against it, and we'll just start now. So Caldera has the connection through agents using the payloads. You have the abilities tab on the campaigns, and then you can do these pre-made different abilities built into the Caldera. I think these are crowdsourced. These are specific TCPs as well. So say if you wanted to emulate like a known APT group, you could take all the TTPs from the MITRE-ATT&CK website and sort of put them together and create your own operation for red teaming. So we can go into adversary. So these are like pre-made adversaries. These are like roughly based off of known APT groups and hacking groups seen in the wild, but more specifically to do with the virus itself and the the sort of the malicious behavior that it will commit itself, rather than like IPs and hashes and stuff like that. So it's only the behavior. They don't have them necessarily named as those APT groups, but it's still close to what you'd see in the wild. So in past videos, I have used Advanced Thief and Alice 2.0. Pretty standard: discovery, credential access, lateral movement, execution. But I think I think we're just gonna everything bagel. That looks pretty good. So you've got command and control, discovery, exfiltration, defense evasion, collection, persistence, execution, privilege escalation, lateral movement, credential access, impact, technical information gathering, build capabilities, initial access, and whatever multiple means. So let's select that, I suppose. There is a lot of different steps for this, and I'm sure Sentinel will be able to pick up all of this. So what we can do is so this adversary does exist, but if you want to use this adversary, you can go into operations. Go into operation, you have to quickly create one. Let's call this a threat test adversary, and what was it called? Everything bagel. We'll just leave it on fact source basic, and it's already started running. PowerShell process enumeration. Let's see if SentinelOne picks this up. I'm currently on detect to my policies. Let's go into Sentinel's policy. See, detect and Daniel demo group. So far, doesn't seem like there's any incidents. Let's put this on recent. So we can actually zoom in on the commands that Caldera is doing on this payload. So you can see for PowerShell process enumeration, you can see the view command on the right side. So just pressing that. So this is the command that Caldera has ran automatically. So get process from vmtools.log, and then also read it using cat. And then discover domain controller, view command, and it's trying to do some AD enumeration stuff. I'm sure Sentinel will pick this up. If not, what we can actually do is we can create rules based on enumerating domain controllers. So if you wanted to create like a suspicious rule, if this was ever typed into a PowerShell or automatically ran into a PowerShell file or put into command line, you can actually detect these command line arguments using SentinelOne deep visibility, and then create a star rule to mark this as suspicious, and then you can respond to it accordingly. So we're just going to let this run for now, and it's failed to discover the domain controller because there aren't any domain controllers. Let's quickly go on to SentinelOne UI. Seems all clear for now. Get service accounts. Let's see what the command this is. That's quite interesting. And that was a success. Well, it seems like the output was in fact an error, so I'm not sure how much of a success that was. Oh, and straight away, SentinelOne has picked whatever that specific module was, get service accounts, as malicious, or it could have been task process enumeration. Let's go on to our incidents tab. And I wonder what behavior triggered it. So it's actually based on SentinelOne Cloud. So usually with Caldera, when you get a cloud detection, it's because it's importing a known, well, it says at the bottom, hack tool. So let's go into threat details. Let's see what it tried to do. So, but yeah, because it was a cloud detection, there's no storyline process related to it, just simply because it is only a cloud detection. So I'll leave it running. SentinelOne isn't going to do any automatic remediation. Let's have a look at task list process enumeration. That's quite interesting. It's also now done application window discovery. So you can see the command there. And you can see I had, it's already found out that I had, I'm pretty sure it's enumerated the fact that I had paste been open on my tabs. Identify active user. Let's see what commands go in there. Simple command. SentinelOne done any more incidents? Any more threats? Nope. And then account discovery for all. So as I said before, if you have any questions to do with SentinelOne or threat testing using SentinelOne, just let me know. You can message me on LinkedIn, or you can get in contact with us officially on info@cybervigilance.uk. And if you're in the EMEA area, you can also get SentinelOne from us as well. And that's whether you want to have your own licenses or be on a managed threat detection, where we provide 24/7 SOC support as well. So it failed to do a full account discovery. And let's see the output of that. Yeah, so we're not on an AD environment. We don't have any sort of AD management at all on our VLAN environment where we're testing threats. So I'm not surprised that there's an error. Yeah, admin members. Seems to be a really, really like massive, a very loud sort of enumeration process at the start. I'm sure later on, there you go, there's another malicious file being detected. Let's see how SentinelOne has picked this up as well. So it's being grouped by hash. I think they might be both, yeah, so they're both static detections. I wonder if you go into VirusHODs, we'll see anything. Yeah, so we imported PowerSploit. That's what it imported. This detection engine is saying this specific CVE is being triggered. I'm not entirely sure. That might be a bit of a, I'm not sure what the CVE is. Remote code execution, that's quite interesting. I want to see a description of this. User permission section I print to drivers of loading. Okay, so it might have been some sort of vulnerability utilization, bypassing user permission checks. I don't know about adding printer drivers with low user permissions. I'll have to look into that later. So let's keep having a look at the Caldera. Scanning for Wi-Fi networks. pretty standard. Collecting ARP details. Let's have a look at this command. ARPA. So it's just enumerating local area. As it's not on Wi-Fi and doesn't have a Wi-Fi card virtually, nothing has been enumerated there. So I'll let that run, and let's have a look at the past threat, and let's put that on virus total. Let's see what tool is being used there. Again, it looks sort of like, I think it's the exact same because of this, how Caldera works. So on the community. So on other operations that you can be running on the PowerShell, not just the PowerShell, but on the payload of Caldera, you can run like extremely loud, stompy viruses that don't necessarily use hack tools per se. I know one of them uses Mimikatz, Alice 2.0 uses Mimikatz, but for instance, I think Advanced Thief uses a screenshot module on it. One of the first things it does when you run the operation is a screenshot. And it will try to take a screenshot of the desktop. So instead of the first the first ability being for here it's a PowerShell process enumeration, it will be screenshot of desktop. SentinelOne doesn't pick that up necessarily as malicious or suspicious because it looks like normal human behavior or trusted application behavior, and it's not inherently malicious. However, you can configure that specific behavior to be considered suspicious or malicious. I believe so. It's TT1113. Yeah, so it's screen capture technique. So this specific TTP on the MITRE ATT&CK framework is the screen capture, and you'll see it used by loads of different procedures, loads of different APTs, hacking gangs, and you can also see this type of attack cannot be easily mitigated with preventative control since it's based on the abuse of system features. So that's why SentinelOne doesn't necessarily pick it up as malicious. And you can see it can be detected by command execution or like something on Windows API. You can see it's probably uses screen capture. So if, say for instance you were doing a different threat test, or you actually wanted specific behavioral TTPs to be considered suspicious in the management console, you can head over to the visibility tab. Now you will need the complete license, the complete license on SentinelOne, just to have access to the visibility. I think by default you have quite a decent chunk of star custom rules that you can create. You can create the rules based on IOCs, command line arguments, or even behaviors, or even registry changes, DNS, URL, network actions, indicators, cross processors and processes. It also says you can do scheduled tasks. So this is endpoint name exists is just like the default query that you can do to see all of the information across your protected endpoints. I would not make this a star rule because this will flag everything as a threat, and I'm not too sure what would happen there. So do not make a star rule based off endpoint name exists. What we can do is just clear this, and let's do indicator description contains T111, T1113, and if we search that, it probably won't show up because the threat has not taken a screenshot, as far as I know. Another threat has been detected as malicious, so I'll zoom in that in a second, and then we'll wrap up the Techie Tuesdays. And you can see it's identifying firewalls. I think it was probably the LSAS thing that the LSAS module that was detected by SentinelOne as malicious, because SentinelOne is really uptight close with LSAS security. So you can see these indicators do show up sometimes. this looks like a Caldera script as well. So you can actually create a star rule based off of this. So if to copy this, go to star custom rules, rule name. I've actually already created it down here. I'll delete this and I'll run through it again. So delete this rule. We'll delete this rule here. Create a new rule. Suspicious screen capture test. Put it on permanent. Rule severity critical. Next, and then enter the query that you added just before. You then go into next, and you can say whether to treat it as a threat or quarantine the device. I'm going to say treat it as a threat and put it on malicious threat policy. So say if your malicious threat policy was on protect, it would automatically protect and kill, quarantine, remediate, and rollback, depending on how far you've set it. And you can press next. It gives you general overview and summary, and you can save draft, and also make sure to press activate rule immediately after saving, otherwise it won't be enabled. So that is everything so far. I'll quickly look at the last malicious detection. And again, it was another hack tool based in the SentinelOne cloud. And that is how to do Caldera threat emulation versus SentinelOne. If you enjoy this Techie Tuesdays, give it a like. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. If you want to get in contact with us, you can get in contact with us at info@cybervigilance.uk. And thank you for watching.